Hello and welcome to the Jacob and Coffee Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about all things real estate over a great cup of coffee. I'm your host today, Jacob Schuler, and today we're going to be talking about market conditions and what they might mean for you. But I am going to mention that I'm drinking some Ridge coffee as well this morning. You want to check them out, ridgecoffeeco@gmail.com. That is their email. You can check them out on Facebook. Make a great cup of coffee. They sell great bags of coffee. It's a great coffee. Give them a shot. Ridge Coffee Company. So, market conditions, and what do they mean for you? Some people who may be listening, some people who are, looking to buy a house. I do want to clarify, there are people who are looking in a sense that they just would like to have a house, and there are people that are looking because they need one, right? Say you're relocating for a job, you're going to need a place to live, and you may initially look to buying a house versus renting, because part of being in this awesome country is that we can own a piece of land and stead it and live on it and treat it as our own. So obviously we've all grown up knowing that that's a very real possibility. And if you are moving for job relocation, you probably have owned a house previously where you were, or maybe this is your first home. But relocation is big. Is a big reason to have to move into a home, right? There are also some who they may just want to move across town. Now, growing up for me, I never knew that. We moved, if any time we moved, we were moving to a different city, or a different state, really. The only time I remember moving was when I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and we moved into, we were renting and we moved to buy. So, there's that scenario too that I didn't address within the same city. So that's another thing that one is not necessarily a need to, unless of course your landlord is selling the house and you need to get out. But there are my main point. That's a long way to say. My main point is there are needs and there are wants. Some people have to find a place to land. Some people just want something different, and that's something that was even marketed to heavily a couple years ago. When the work from home wave came during the COVID-19 pandemic, there was a wave of remote work, and you saw all of these like Realtor.com, Zillow. They were putting out these ads for find your dream home, find a better home for you, because they understood that they were going to try to market to these emotions that people were going to have. Well, if I'm going to be home, now I want to be at least somewhere that I really, really like. And, that coupled with the falling mortgage rates and everything, people just saw an opportunity to go ahead and move. And they maybe didn't have to, but they wanted to. So there are going to be some people who need to move. They need to find a place to land. And market conditions, real estate market conditions. What's that going to mean for you guys who need to find a place? Well, there's really nothing you can do about it if we're looking at market conditions. But I will say this, most of the time market conditions matter a lot more to people who are looking for the return on the investment. Not so much as someone who just says, I just need to move. I need to find a place to live. Because home buying is a very emotional decision. And rightly so. It's the biggest purchase that many people will make in their life is buying a house. So there's a lot of emotion. You're considering, I'm about to be tied up on this mortgage for however many years, and it's a huge financial commitment. And once you sign the paper and it's yours, everything happens, right? You end up having a hailstorm come through and damage your roof. You end up having an AC go out, a water heater start leaking, your furnace quits working right when winter comes. Which, by the way, here's a plug: always get a home warranty. Get a home warranty on your house. So these things are covered. Either that, or make sure you have enough reserves to try to tackle these things when they come up, because they will come up. Things like this happen. But anyways, it's a big commitment, so there's a lot of emotions tied up in it. But if you're in a place where you need to buy, market conditions really don't apply a whole lot. And people might argue with me on that. They may beg to differ. But if you're in a place where you just got to move somewhere, I will say this. I moved over in the Northeast Arkansas area 2 years ago. And when we first moved here, which we still are, by the way, we started to rent because we could not find a house. As you know, and as I've already referenced, 2 years ago during 2020, inventory was so low. It was, you could not find anything to buy, and even rental inventory was super low. We were fortunate to find a rental that was brand spanking new. They had just finished painting the thing and putting up trim, and in fact, when we looked at it, they were not quite done with construction. They were doing all the trim work. So even when we moved here, we had to land somewhere, right? So if you find a place yourself, in a place where you've got to land somewhere, there is always the rental option if you're able to find one in your area. So market conditions really don't mean a lot for the person who has to move as much as they do for the person who is looking to buy for financial reasons. Maybe you want to dip your foot into the investing world and you want to house hack a duplex, or you want to house hack a triplex or a fourplex. Then it starts to matter to you. It starts to matter even more if you already have a few properties and you're wanting to make a smart decision on acquiring another piece of real estate to try to add to your portfolio. So really the market conditions matter a lot more to those guys who are treating it as a money-making tool, not so much as the average homeowner who just needs a place to go to bed at night, to cook their food, to wash their clothes, right? But I find the reason I even talking about this is because I hear a lot of people who talk about these market conditions as there's something that's going to change really soon. Experts don't anticipate house prices to dramatically fall. There's no cliff that they can see in the foreseeable future. Now, granted, there is no, if we really think about it, there's no foreseeable future, but the way that they analyze the probable outcomes, there's no cliff that they're seeing. There might be a slight dip, but they're not even banking on that. And with mortgage prices, interest rates, that is, still expected to hike just a little bit more, people are worried about what's going to happen for them if they want to buy a house. And that kind of drives my point home earlier. If they want to buy a house, right? If you need to buy a house, you're going to end up buying a house. And you're going to have to play the hand that was dealt to you if you end up getting a mortgage rate or interest rate that was higher than what you could have got 2 years ago. Maybe you didn't need to move 2 years ago, but now you do. It's just, welcome to life. Life happens, everybody. Life happens. And it's just something that you and I have got to deal with. So and I know I've driven this home before. Maybe I didn't drive it all the way home. Maybe I just drove it part way. We're just going to try to finish the last leg of the trip. The market conditions should not play a huge, huge role in whether or not you need to find a home. If you're looking for a home, and I'm not talking to any investors here. I'm talking to people who need to move for work situations, or maybe your home you're renting and your home is being sold, and now you've got to find another place to live. Don't focus on the big, the bad, the ugly, on what the media is pumping out. The last 2 years of your life should have said, don't listen to what the media says anyways. I'm not going to get into it here, but there's just a lot on any outlet. I'm not advocating for any news outlet here. I'm saying they all pump out what they want you to hear. So don't listen to those networks that are looking for ratings, because that's what they're looking for. Don't pay attention to all the hype. You get in and you talk to a level-headed professional that's going to help you through and try to find the best things in your area. Because here's something that you maybe you already know it, but something that is it's really something to wade through. Is that what media outlets put out don't really apply to certain areas, right? So where I am in Northeast Arkansas, my broker calls it the biggest small town because really, I mean, it's not huge. It's maybe like 70 some thousand people. There's a state university here, but there's really such a hometown feel associated with it. So what we're seeing pumped out by these big media outlets doesn't really apply to us here when they're talking about the New York Cities, the LAs of the world, and just the gigantic city, the Houstons, the Dallas, Phoenix, these big cities throughout the nation. It really doesn't apply to us here to a certain extent. So find a local professional that's going to talk real with you, and you may be weary or leery, excuse me, about who to use because you may have this belief that every one of the real estate professionals are out there just to take advantage of you and use you as a commission check. That's not the case. I know some great people. Yes, they do it for a living, but honestly, I have never seen a happier bunch of people than real estate professionals. They love what they do. They love helping people find homes to live in. They love watching the face at closing. And just helping, just being an assistance and a guide. So find you a good real estate professional and ask them in your market. These are the concerns that I have. I'm concerned about interest rates. I'm concerned about the market conditions and so on and so forth. Just have that conversation. Even if you're not ready to pull the trigger, if you're thinking about it, have that conversation now because it can really dispel some beliefs in your mind about what to expect. Because you may be listening to what other people say. Don't listen to other people. If they're not in the business, don't listen to them. Talk to somebody in your market, and they're going to give you the insight on what may happen for you and what you should expect where you are. So, just a little tip I had for you. Encourage you to comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. Also, subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts. Love to hear your feedback about anything else that maybe we should talk about. And also coffee suggestions. I always want coffee suggestions. So shoot me an email, DM me on any of my social profiles. Would love to be in contact with any one of you. But until next time, encourage you to live life one cup at a time.